Screw the plumbing and the home serving niche.
Welcome to the Jared Williams Show.
Jared, Mother Truckin' Williams, what's going on?
What's up, Joel?
Nothing, dude. Just chilling, having a good time.
I don't know why you're calling me that.
I thought that's okay. I'm confused. I thought that was okay to call you, but I guess not. I'll put it in the notes.
No, you can call me whatever you want. I don't care.
Okay, I'll put that in the notes. Gosh, it's complicated.
Dude, you know you're getting old when you move your back and my whole back just goes all the way down my spine.
But doesn't it feel good though when you find that?
It does. Like I want a chair that ends where the back ends right at the perfect spot in my back,
so you can just
back and crack it. But I think that's funny. Like that didn't used to happen to me.
Yeah, maybe there's a chair out there where you can raise and lower the setting to where your particular back crack is, where it's like, if you need back crack here, put it here and then lean like this. Because you could get your back cracked all over the place.
That's my next invention.
Yeah, that's my next invention. Wait a second.
Have you needed to crack your back?
Yeah, look at this. All different adjustments. Yeah, you could always do the classic black and white, don't do it like this, and you're trying to crack your back on your desk, and there's the big red X and everything. Do it like this. Get my chair, dude. It's gonna be awesome. $999.
Oh yeah, no, I'd make it more than that. Like a chair that can be a chair and crack your back. That's value,
dude.
You
that
could
is
charge
value.
$2,000 for that chair.
Yeah, chairs are expensive, man. A fancy office chair is $1,500.
Put some speakers in that chair.
I just don't know the market we're going for a speaker. Maybe not the speakers. Maybe that can be your invention with the speakers.
Okay, I'll outsell you every day though.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll just see,
Yeah, we will see. I'll do it.
Okay.
Tomorrow. I'm starting a chair company tomorrow.
Oh my gosh, dude, I can't wait. The next podcast we do, folks, it's going to be awesome. Jared's going to talk about his chair business. First it was lawn care, now it's going to be back cracking chair business.
Dude, that's a good one.
A big pivot.
How to crack your back with your chair and create a business around it.
Yeah.
It's going to be epic.
The first video can be you building the chair in your garage with wood.
We actually need to readjust the whole podcast to just back cracking chairs, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, we're changing our niche. Yeah, this niche is really changing.
Screw the plumbing and the home serving niche. We are now whatever we are, back cracking chairs.
Dude, it's a huge niche because think about how many people need their back cracked and who sit down a lot. That's a lot of people.
Dude, I think it's a great one. We'll be wealthy in no time.
Yeah. All right, folks. You heard it today. Don't steal our idea. We thought of it first. It's copyrighted. Done.
Okay. Talking about premium products and premium pricing, right? I know we were going to talk about something else, but let's talk about premium pricing.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay. Hit me. Let's do it. What do you think about premium pricing? Coming from a consumer mindset, if you were to have a product, right, that you were going to sell, what kind of price point would you want to hit? What would be your mindset around that?
Okay. I would think about it that I would want to create a product and sell it for the price that people are willing to pay. That's how I would try to think about it. Obviously you would want to, if you're creating, if we're talking about I guess any product, right? In my head, it's a physical product right now.
But that's fine. Even in your plumbing business, you don't want to sell a commodity. You want to sell a product.
Define commodity.
Commodity, I would view as a service, that you would charge by the hour. So rather than selling, fixing a water heater, you are selling much more than that, right? You're going from the commodity to the product range just by going offering, a higher level of product, a higher, an experience rather
Mm-hmm.
than like you're selling the experience, okay? You're not selling specifically the plumbing fix, okay? You're selling the whole experience of finding your company, calling your company, seeing your company's logo, dealing with the people at your company. Like
Yeah.
that's
Mm-hmm.
something that's a product that you can sell, and then you get out of I it cost me how much to fix my plumbing, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Instead of thinking that way your customer's going to go, I paid X for this great experience.
Sure.
And that's where you make your money, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think
So,
that's where people will come back to you, and you'll get people using you and
oh
referring
yeah.
you is from that
Oh
right
yeah.
there.
That's when it doesn't matter how much you are, because
Mm-hmm.
then you're not competing, right? Like when you're
Mm-hmm.
just selling like a service, like you're just selling fixing a part on a water heater, that's easy to like you have the part and you have the fix and the labor
Sure.
on the fix, right? The
Yeah.
price.
Yep.
And then anybody could compete with you. The part's
Yep.
always the same. It's not like
Mm-hmm.
my part's 10,000 times better than your part.
Mm-hmm.
So the only thing you have to compete on is price,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Versus you bring in the service and the quality of the service and the good looking trucks and the good looking employees and the uniforms and how polite they were and how
Mm-hmm.
easy they were to communicate with and how you got a
Mm-hmm.
price up front and they offered financing and they gave you options. Then you're competing on a whole nother level, right? You have
Yes.
all this extra value that you've brought in that
Mm-hmm.
you are now competing on. So if anybody wants to compete with you,
Mm.
like they come in and they offer, a product and a price, and you come in, you offer a product, a price, and an experience. Like the
Mm-hmm.
product isn't even really a thing. It's really just the experience. Now
Yeah. No.
you
Mm-hmm.
put yourself in that product
Hmm.
kind of field, right?
Yeah, no, that's actually that's super profound because if we can take that to any product, like
You can.
if I'm selling something e-commerce,
Hmm.
I can think about the experience, not you just using the product, but you interacting with my website, you interacting with
Yeah.
my sales parameters, even if there's a
Yep.
mistake, how do you get a hold of me? Like all those things you can pay that premium for. And that
Yep.
is really what you're selling because nobody, I would say that the majority of people don't think like that. They just go, how much should this product be based upon its value in and of itself? They don't think about
Right.
all these other things that they may be doing really, really well. They might
Right.
have an awesome website with awesome,
Yep.
everything flows good and the experience is super easy. And if you need help, you get help right away. But they
Yep.
don't calculate that into the experience of their product. And therefore, they don't drop it into their price
Yep.
when they
And
should.
and that's really like the idea of like value stacking. I know we talked about this in another podcast,
Mm-hmm.
but basically stacking a ton of value on this thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then you're selling like it's just a much easier sell at that point. Like there's so much value here, the price is negligible, or
Mm-hmm.
they're willing to pay a lot more for this thing because you've taken something and stacked value on it. So like
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
in the water heater instance, right? We maybe took a water heater part and we stacked this experience on it. We stacked
Mm-hmm.
all this value on it to where now that water heater part, if you think about a plumber that answers their phone, that has a system for answering their phone, that has a
Mm-hmm.
system for getting you booked and sends you a text message with the picture of the technician, and the technician comes out and he's able to offer you options and give you a price up front, and he's uniform and he's professional and he's kind and he's nice and all this stuff, right? That's all value. Now all of a sudden that's worth a lot more than
Mm-hmm.
just that water heater part and the part we
Yes.
sold, right?
Yep.
And that goes with any business,
Mm-hmm.
any of them. So any business you're in, you really want to just stack as much value on that thing as possible so you can drive the price up as high as you can.
Mm-hmm.
Within reason, right? We talked about that on our last episode. You don't
Sure.
want to add a bunch of value that's really hard to do. So
Sure. Of
like
course.
in the example of a water heater part, all this experience, the value of this experience, that's all pretty much automated. It's not that
Mm-hmm.
hard to put together.
Mm-hmm.
But it like quadruples your end point, your end price, right?
Mm-hmm.
And allows you to hit profit margins.
And I think you could think about it as like looking at your business practices and then what you're already doing and going through each one of them and asking yourself, well, how can I refine this and how can I make this better for the customer? And what it would probably require is some upfront work, but that would then just be done. And suddenly you have a new refined experience for the customer, a new way of doing things. You're not necessarily adding anything new unless you find you need to. You're just making every step better and smoother. Like again, like in the e-commerce example, like that's like the most simple thing is like, does your website suck?
Mhm.
Because if your website
What's your
sucks,
return policy like?
yeah, like
That's
what's
a
that? Like
huge
how
one.
easy it for me to find the cancel my policy button? Like those little things
Right.
like that. Um, so you're not actually adding any complexity. You're just looking through the system. You're pretending you're a customer and you're walking through the whole experience and you're finding all the little things that make it. And you're going, can I change this? Can I make this better? Can I add
Mhm.
something to this that is hopefully a one-time addition, but that will elevate the experience? And then
Yep.
once you do all that, then suddenly you have a really premium product without
Yeah.
actually doing anything operationally different. You're just making it better.
Yes. So there's and you hit on something really good there. There's, like, high value, it's like on a scale, okay? Imagine 2 lines, one on top of each other.
Mm-hmm.
On one side of the top line, you have, like, high value, hard to deliver,
Mm,
and on the other one, you have low value, easy to deliver.
mm-hmm.
What you wanna do is you wanna take something that has really high value that's hard to deliver on, and that's your core product, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And you wanna stack it with as many low value, easy to deliver items as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So you just sit there and just stack on these items that are super, super easy to deliver on. Like
Mm-hmm.
in your instance of changing the way you check out, it's literally
Mm-hmm.
just a change. Like it doesn't, in the future, it costs you nothing. It's
Right.
super easy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Stack as many of those as possible as value on top of your product. And now all of a sudden you have a really huge product where most of it is very easy to deliver
Mm-hmm.
and only one portion of it is hard to deliver.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes the whole product as a whole something that's very deliverable with a lot of value.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That's really where you want to live.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, that's a cool way to think about it. Hmm. So how often in your business do you go through and you think about these things?
I mean, we thought about it while we were building it. We still think about these things,
Mm-hmm.
as we go in. We're constantly tweaking, how we do stuff. Like, how can we make this better? How can we make that better? But at a point, you get it tweaked, and you're like, how can I make this better? Well,
Sure.
it's
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 there.
pretty freaking good. Like we can make it
Yeah.
better in this tweak, but is that is that easy to fulfill enough on that
Mm-hmm.
because you have to be careful there. Like you could add more high value, hard to deliver on. And
Mm-hmm.
that's not
Yeah.
really what you want to do, right?
Yeah, sure.
You really want to
Huh.
keep it simple and streamlined and keep it easy to fulfill on as much as
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah.
So we could stack on value, but then they're harder to deliver on. And then those that comes at a cost. And somebody has to bear that cost. And so it's ultimately going to be the customer. So you have to ask yourself, if it's hard to deliver on, it's likely comes at a higher cost to you, which means the customer is going to have to pay for it. So is it does it bring enough value to have the customer pay for it? That's
Sure.
really like that's the question you have to ask yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and if it's super easy to fulfill on, like a change to the way you text or a change to
Mm-hmm.
the wording in your reviews or something like that, those are really easy. So we'll make those quickly. We'll just
Right.
make them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but eventually you start running out of those. There's only so much
Yep.
of those you can do, and then
Sure.
it's
You
like,
refine those to make those really good. Mm-hmm.
yeah. And that's when you reach that point. You're like, okay, I have a really good product
Sure.
that delivers a ton of value, and
Mm-hmm.
only one part of it is hard to fulfill on.
Mm-hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I think it's easy. It's easier to, well, the things that we go to naturally, I think, is the harder to fulfill on. Like we think,
Yeah.
like I know that's how I think. I'm like, well, if I do this, it's gonna be like, it's gonna be add so much, it's gonna be cool, it's gonna be great. And then you're always
Yep.
like, yeah, but that's like hard to do. Like, is that
Yeah.
really worth it? Because I mean,
Yeah.
if we go that way, then we have to do this, which means it's more expensive, which it could pencil, but that's probably not the first thing we should be thinking about. We should be thinking about, like you said, all these other things.
Yeah. And I think your brain goes there because it's the stuff that's hard to fulfill on is going to add the most value.
Sure.
So when you
Almost the
think
most
of it,
value
it's
the
like, ooh,
quickest.
this will add a ton of value, right?
Right. Right.
But you got to be really careful there. And it's
Mhm.
harder to think of the things that are going to add a little bit of value,
Yeah. That's why I think
which
it's like go ahead.
which almost makes them more valuable, right?
Mhm. Sure.
Because if you've got like another like if you've got two businesses offering, the
Mm.
same service
Mhm.
and the other business goes, "Okay." Like one of the business goes, "Okay, how can I make this more valuable?" And they add on another service that's hard to fulfill on, but adds a lot of value versus business A over here just sticks to their main core, but has all these tiny little tweaks that makes that main core way more valuable, right?
Mhm.
So that
Mhm.
yeah, this guy offers two products, but this guy over here offers the one product very, very well. The value in that
Right.
one product is way higher.
Right.
Like who are you gonna hire?
Yeah.
Probably gonna hire the guy that's got the most value on the main core product,
Yeah.
right?
And yeah. Mhm. Yeah, and I think that if people haven't looked through their business, because you forget about those little things, because especially if you've been in business for a while and things are just moving along, you'll forget to go back
Mhm.
and like check over your little things, especially
Yeah.
as you grow, right? Because as you grow, you're going to outgrow certain systems and certain ways of doing things.
Yep.
And it's good to go back through and be like, okay, is each one of these steps necessary? And each one of these steps actually in its final form? Or can we
Mhm.
continue to tweak, maybe add a little resources so that it can become something a little bit better to really refine the experience as a whole? Because man, that just presents so strong, so strong.
Yeah. And, as you scale, you'll find that things that were valuable and easy to fulfill on
Mm-hmm.
become they stay valuable, but they become harder to fulfill on because of
Yep.
scale. So you're
Sure.
gonna have to change up your method of fulfillment so that it's easier to
Mm,
fulfill on. So an example of
mm-hmm.
that, um, we used to write handwritten thank you cards to all our customers,
Mm-hmm.
right? Back when we had like three guys billing.
Mm-hmm.
But then once we got like four or five guys billing, it was like a full time job to write thank you cards. Right? And so
Yeah.
to continue to fulfill on that, it's like, okay, I'm gonna have to hire another person to write thank you cards, which is gonna come at a high cost. And that cost is gonna have to be incurred by the customer, right? Is
Right.
the customer gonna want to pay and for me to have an extra employee to handwrite thank you cards?
Probably
Probably
not.
not.
Probably
So
not.
he's just automated the process. Now
Mm-hmm.
it's just an automated postcard, right? That just goes out.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't have to
Mm-hmm.
hire another employee. So in that sense, like we scaled to a point where it's like, okay, the fulfillment is now really hard. It used to be really easy.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have to change this thing up in order to continue to provide the value, but make the fulfillment easy, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So you find things
Yeah.
like that in your business as you scale.
Right. Hmm.
Like in the beginning, writing 2 thank you cards a day, it might not be that hard.
Nope. Super easy. Just do it right at the end of your day. Boom. Done. Mail them out.
And it's
Easy.
and it's super valuable to the customer, right?
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
got this handwritten thank you card for hiring this company. That's rad.
Mm-hmm. But then
Pretty
at some
cool.
point it becomes not valuable because then
Yeah.
that customer doesn't want to pay for that service at that point. Like, oh man, I'm
Right.
paying for that. Like, I don't care about that.
It's still valuable, but the fulfillment got harder, right?
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the cost of fulfillment wasn't worth the value.
Right.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
like let's talk about like service companies, plumbing companies. What are the things that they need to be doing? Like what are those value stacks for them? Like the main service is plumbing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um but then like all the value that you can stack on top of plumbing. What are those easy to fulfill, low value, easy to fulfill things you stack on top of there?
I would first start off with having your technicians and whoever's answering your phone just be very nice, courteous, knowledgeable.
Yeah.
Like that's like a pretty easy no brainer, right?
Mhm.
But really makes that experience good.
Yeah, just be
Um,
friendly.
Definitely really easy to pay. You definitely want like I want to be able to pay you really easy. Probably I want to avoid like emails and all this kind of crazy stuff. Like I don't want to have to wait for something that I might miss. So I want to be able to pay like I mean, ideally, I want to be able to pay at time of service like anything else in the world. Like I get the
Right.
product done and then I can pay you and I don't have to
Yep.
think about it. You don't have to think about it. So that
Yep.
makes the experience better. Um, I want, like, I would want to know that the price quoted to me isn't going to change. That, like, if a price quoted to me, if something comes up that's weird, you're not going to be like, hey, man, like, I screwed up and it's going to be actually this. Like, that probably does happen. But it'd be nice with confidence to be like, oh, that's what I'm going to pay. Cool. Good. Go do your thing.
Yep.
Um, let's
So all
see.
those things you can automate with the CRM, right? Like you
Mm-hmm.
get on Service Titan, you can then quote prices up front.
Mm-hmm.
You just make it your policy. The the price we quote is the price you pay,
Right.
unless we run into something that we can't see, right?
Right. Sure. Of
Then we're
course.
going to come to you up front so that you
Mm-hmm.
know about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to automate. Bam, you just added value.
Mm-hmm.
Um, being able to pay right away. Good CRM. You just bill the customer when you're done.
Mm-hmm.
Bam, you just added more value. Like now you're just increasing like how much the customer is willing
Right.
to pay you every time you
Right.
add these values on.
Yeah.
So just by simple automations like that, you can just automatically add more value to your service, which allows you to charge a higher price, which
Mm-hmm.
in the plumbing industry, the thing is it's like it already costs so much to run your plumbing business.
Mm-hmm.
For you to not be in the premium product world,
Sure.
adding a high value to the customer,
Mm-hmm.
you're really losing out, right? It
Mm-hmm.
costs you so much they expect when you go to charge them for what it actually costs you to run your business. When you go to charge the customer, they expect a high value based on the price because the price is
Mm-hmm.
so high. So you might as well like incur a few extra expenses on your end, maybe charge the customer a little bit more, but be able to offer this really high value service, very
Mm-hmm.
very premium, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, because then like the cost of your service and the service you give actually makes sense.
Right.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Like whereas for other businesses, they might be able to sell cheaper, right? Because the cost of fulfillment isn't as high.
Mm-hmm.
But I would even say to those businesses, like, why wouldn't you live in a world like if you're going to make a product, why not have it live in a world where it's extremely high value,
Right.
right? So like,
Especially if you're going to create the product, right? Like
yeah,
you're not Amazon, you're not shipping product. You're
yeah,
not you're not facilitating somebody getting a product. You're not the middleman. You are the person who creates the thing. And
yep,
so why would you create the thing and then go, I'm going to sell this for dirt cheap?
yeah,
Because that makes sense to me.
yeah. I'm going to sell this for, I'm going to be cheaper than everybody else. That's okay in a world where you're selling it like mass scale and people
Yeah.
are shopping based on price. But
Right.
if you're not selling it mass scale, like all over the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people aren't shopping based on price, they're shopping based on emotion and
Mm-hmm.
experience,
Mm-hmm.
then why wouldn't you live in a world where you stack as much value on your product so you can maintain the highest profit margins possible?
And I also kind of think it's more fun that way. Like I have no
Way
interest in
more
creating
fun.
Tupperware. Like
No.
Tupperware to me seems like something that I sell at low price, like plastic, Ziploc, Tupperware. I'm
Yeah.
selling billions of these things and they're dirt
Mhm.
cheap. But that's super boring. Like, yeah, I made a
Yeah.
plastic cube and I put a lid on it. Here you go, $3. Like it
Yeah.
seems much more fun that if I'm going to do all this work to create my own product, to go into this mode of a business, create this own business that I want to do something that I find very interesting so I can put my heart and soul into it and make it awesome. But
Yep.
then I then wouldn't turn around and be like, cool, I did all that. And now I'm going to sell it to you for nothing
Yep.
because the price is all the value that I see in it, except
Yep.
there's so much more value in there, even outside of like
Exactly.
my blood, sweat, and tears.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So if you're going to build a plumbing business, why not build a business where you can charge top dollar for your services and increase your profit margins and make more money at the end of the day?
Mm-hmm.
Because why are we in business in the first place?
For the good of our hearts.
Yeah, we're in it just to provide people with a really good service
Mm-hmm.
and never make any money, right?
Yep. That's it.
Yeah. No, we're in business to make money.
Yeah,
Like,
sure.
if you're not, go get another job. Like,
Right.
stop doing what you're doing. Go get another job because being in business when you're not making any money really sucks and it's not worth it, and you need to be making money if you're in business.
Yeah, and that's I mean, I know we've talked about that. I'm sure we could go on and on about that
Oh,
idea, but I
yeah.
think it's always important to come back to that because that's always kind of like the taboo subject, right? Like businesses are out there just trying to make money. And you're like,
Yeah.
"Well, yeah." Like
Profit's the evil word.
yeah, and it's like but the more money they can make and ultimately you as the consumer can choose not to buy, right? Nobody is forcing you to buy anything as
Yeah.
far as I know. Um and so you can choose not to buy and you can go buy something else. So ultimately, you are the one who is deciding that price
Yeah.
point. Because a business, if it looks around and says, dang, nobody's buying my premium product, crap, I guess I might be a little too expensive. So then they have to
Yeah.
rethink. They either have to add value or they have to rethink their whole thing.
Yep. Yeah. And the funny part about that is people buy stuff of value all the time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like they're constantly overpaying. Not I don't want to say overpaying, but they're paying more for something that has more value. So like take Patagonia for instance.
Mm-hmm.
People buy Patagonia clothing like it's going out of style, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they have a perceived value in their clothing,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. They do.
It's double stitched. It's eco-friendly. It's
Mm-hmm.
they give back to the Patagonia wilderness.
Mm-hmm.
It's good quality, right? They've built a value behind their brand.
Mm-hmm.
And so people are willing to pay more for that. And
Mm-hmm.
so same goes for your plumbing business. You start stacking those values in and people are going to be willing to pay more for it.
Mm-hmm. And then eventually the people are going to recognize you for what you are. And now you have found yourself that you have a brand and that is a
Yeah.
valuable thing. And then people are going to
Yeah.
be, they're going to be making this payment choice based upon your brand because that's
Mhm.
who you've been and what people say you are.
Yep. Yeah, you'll develop this identity as a business of having this certain value, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like Patagonia. They have this
Mm-hmm.
identity of having this certain value. And there's
Mm-hmm.
a certain customer that they attract because of it.
Mm-hmm.
Just like your plumbing business. You're going to
Sure.
build this company of
Mm-hmm.
value and you're going to attract
Mm-hmm.
customers who want that value that you have to offer
Mm-hmm.
and they're willing to pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to stop attracting the customers that just want the cheapest price or just want the cheapest fix. You're going to start getting customers that are like, man, I really want somebody to come out to my house today. I really want somebody to answer their phone when I call. I really want somebody to take payment before they leave my house so I don't have to worry
Mm-hmm.
about it anymore. I really want
Mm-hmm.
somebody who looks professional, who drives a professional vehicle, who is qualified, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they start wanting those things and they're like, I'm hiring these guys because they're known for those things.
Mm-hmm.
And all those things are just value that you've added to your business just by the way that you've structured it, right? All
Right.
around a plumbing service.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to pay you way more money for that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the coolest part about that is
Hmm.
you start attracting customers that want what you have to offer, right?
Yeah, sure.
Rather than getting a customer who wants the cheapest price and then going out there and going, okay, here's how much it's going to cost. It's going to be a gazillion dollars. And they're like, oh, screw you. You start now attracting a customer that's like, hey, um, I want all this value. And you go offer it. And they're like, this was awesome. Right.
Right.
And
Sure.
you give them a price and they're like, yeah, go for it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of customer you start attracting by building this kind of business. And especially when you like start to assimilate that into your brand and you start to
Mm-hmm.
become known as that,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a powerful thing because you're attracting
Mm-hmm.
a customer that expects what
Mm.
you have to offer, then you're giving
Mhm.
them that value that they expect, and you're creating this super happy customer
Mhm.
because you gave them what you told them they should expect of you, right?
Mhm.
And that's powerful. That's when you like start getting rid of tire kickers, start getting
Right.
tons of
Sure.
5-star reviews,
Mhm.
and start having a lot of happy customers.
Mhm. Yeah, because you
And that
actually your brand is going to attract the people who desire your product.
yeah, and that's really where you want to live.
Yep.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, one day we'll talk about the importance of branding because that is where this conversation
Someday.
naturally segues into. Because
Someday we'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there someday. But today, man, that was a great conversation. Thanks, Jared.
Yeah, you bet, man.
All right, man. See you next week.
Hey guys, if you liked that episode and you want to see more content like that, I've picked out a special episode just for you. All you got to do is click right here. Go ahead and do it. Just click right there.